the mysterious installation of hundreds of strange cameras. In recent weeks, a quiet but unsettling pattern has begun to emerge across rural and remote parts of the United States. Residents, particularly those living far from cities, have reported the sudden appearance of unfamiliar devices mounted on tall poles along empty roads and near private land. At first glance, these devices seem ordinary enough, small units attached beneath solar panels, positioned to face passing traffic. But for many who have encountered them, the mystery lies not in what they are, but in why they are there at all. These devices have been identified as flock safety cameras, a type of solar-powered, AI-enabled automated license plate reader. Designed to capture and analyze vehicle information in real time, they are capable of recording license plates, vehicle make, color, and even distinguishing features such as stickers or dents. This data is then stored within a searchable network that can be accessed by law enforcement agencies and, in some cases, private communities. The stated purpose of these cameras is to assist in solving crimes and tracking vehicles of interest. However, the growing concern among residents is rooted in the locations where these cameras are appearing. In many cases, they are not being installed in busy urban areas or high-traffic neighborhoods, but instead along quiet country roads, isolated farmland, and regions where incidents of crime are rarely reported. For those who live in these areas, the sudden presence of advanced surveillance technology feels both unexpected and unexplained. One widely shared account came from a farmer who noticed one of these devices had been installed near his property. According to his description, his home was located miles away from any significant population center, with no nearby neighborhoods or commercial areas. The road that passed his land saw very little traffic, often only his own vehicle or the occasional passerby. Yet, despite the lack of activity, a camera capable of recording detailed vehicle data had appeared seemingly overnight. This has led to a growing number of theories among those who have encountered similar situations. Some believe that the cameras are part of a broader network expansion, designed to monitor movement across larger geographic areas rather than just high crime zones. Others feel that their placement in remote regions raises deeper questions about surveillance and data collection. If these systems are capable of tracking vehicles in real time and storing that information indefinitely, then their presence in low-traffic areas suggests a purpose that extends beyond immediate public safety concerns. Adding to the unease is the fact that many residents claim they were not informed prior to the installation of these devices. In rural communities where communication tends to be more direct and personal, the sudden appearance of unfamiliar technology without explanation has created a sense of distrust. For farmers and landowners, whose properties often stretch across large open spaces, the idea that such devices could be placed nearby without their knowledge has only intensified these feelings. Online discussions have further amplified the mystery. Images of these cameras, often silhouetted against quiet landscapes or positioned along empty roads, have circulated widely. In these images, the contrast between advanced technology and isolated surroundings is striking. A device designed to monitor and record sits silently in a place where little appears to happen, raising questions about what it is truly observing and why. Despite the explanations provided about their intended use, the broader picture remains unclear to many. The technology itself is not hidden, and its capabilities are openly described. Yet the reasoning behind its placement in certain areas continues to spark debate. For those living near these cameras, the question is not simply about what they do, but about what role they play in a larger system that is not fully visible. The strange statements made by Eisenhower Austriaco. The mystery surrounding the statements made by Eisenhower Austriaco, former commander of the military police of the state of Minas Gerais in Brazil, has captured widespread attention and curiosity. During his farewell from active service, he spoke openly about events that had long remained in the shadows, describing encounters that many would find difficult to comprehend. His words carried weight not only because of their content, but because of his position and years of service within law enforcement. According to Austriaco, officers under his command were face-to-face with unknown visitors of the human species in both urban and rural areas of the municipality of Claudio. These were not second-hand reports or distant observations. He emphasized that no one had simply told them about these encounters. Instead, they had witnessed them directly, alongside dozens of others. The events he referred to took place toward the end of 2008, during a period when multiple unusual occurrences were reported across the region. These encounters were said to involve unidentified aerial phenomena and luminous beings, appearing in ways that defied conventional explanation. Officers reportedly observed lights moving in unusual patterns, as well as figures that did not behave like ordinary individuals. The consistency of these reports, combined with the number of witnesses, created a situation that could not easily be dismissed. What makes this case particularly compelling is the credibility of those involved. These were trained officers, accustomed to assessing situations carefully and reporting accurately. For them to describe such encounters suggests that something truly unusual took place. Austriaco's decision to speak about these events publicly, after years of silence, has only deepened the mystery.
Por quase 20 anos, mas é fato. Infelizmente ou infelizmente, não somos as únicas espécies inteligentes a caminharmos sobre o solo terreno, pois presenciamos e estivemos frente a frente com visitantes desconhecidos da espécie humana nas áreas urbana e rural do município de Cláudio. Medeiros contou, mas citam aos rios. Dessas pessoas, dezenas de pessoas, que o pessoal tem visto aí, tantos militares falando, no YouTube, tantas pessoas civis, é verdade.
Boxer releases mysterious video just moments before disaster. A mysterious video shared by boxer Gerardo Garcia has left many viewers questioning what they have witnessed. On a quiet road, a man was driving peacefully when a white dove suddenly appeared directly in front of his windshield. The bird remained calm and unmoving, causing him to slow down in confusion. Moments later, a speeding vehicle rushed past the exact spot he would have occupied, followed by a chaotic scene unfolding behind him. Yet he remained completely safe. The dove then vanished as suddenly as it appeared. To many, this moment feels like more than coincidence, suggesting something intervened at precisely the right time. This family just released a creepy image. This creepy image feels both unsettling and difficult to explain, capturing a moment that seems to exist somewhere between reality and something far more mysterious. In the dim light of night, a towering, shadow-like figure stands beside a much smaller person, its elongated form stretching upward in a way that defies normal human proportions. The setting appears quiet, almost ordinary, yet the presence of this figure transforms it into something deeply disturbing. According to the account shared by the individual who uploaded the image, the story behind it begins during a time of hardship. Their family had been struggling financially, especially during a period when economic conditions had become difficult for many. In an attempt to build a better future, the uploader's brother and his wife moved away, seeking independence and opportunity. For months, there was little communication, only brief assurances that everything was fine. When the family eventually visited, they were surprised by what they found. Despite starting with nothing, the brother now had land, livestock, and stability. It seemed almost too good to be true. Questions were asked, but the answers were vague, leaving an uneasy feeling that something was being left unsaid. That unease only deepened when strange events began to occur during the night. Unexplained footsteps, movements that could not be accounted for, and a growing sense that something unseen was present. The truth, as later revealed by the brother, was far more troubling. In a moment of desperation, he had followed the guidance of a mysterious old man who spoke of a way to achieve prosperity. The cost was not financial, but deeply personal. A symbolic agreement was made, one that involved both material offerings and a promise that carried profound consequences. For a time, everything seemed to improve. The land flourished, and the family's situation changed dramatically. But when the brother attempted to undo what had been done, everything began to unravel. The land suffered, the animals weakened, and an unseen presence began to make itself known. Then, one night, the figure seen in the image appeared. A tall, unnatural form that entered the home and led his wife away as if guided by an unseen force. The image, believed to capture this entity, stands as a chilling piece of evidence tied to the story. It reflects a moment that cannot easily be explained, leaving behind a sense of unease and a reminder that some choices may carry consequences far beyond what can be understood. This man's friend shared this image with him shortly before he vanished. This image that recently surfaced on social media has quickly become the center of a growing mystery, drawing attention from viewers who are both fascinated and unsettled by what it appears to show. Set against the vast and rugged backdrop of the Grand Canyon, the structure in the image stands out in a way that feels almost unnatural. Carved into the rock itself, it resembles a small, ancient chamber with a narrow entrance, topped by a formation that looks deliberately shaped rather than formed by nature. According to the individual who shared the image, it was originally sent by a friend who had been exploring deep within the canyon. The friend described stumbling upon the structure unexpectedly, far from any marked trails or known tourist paths. The discovery was surprising enough on its own, but what followed made the situation even more concerning. After sending the image and suggesting that they should return together to investigate further, the friend stopped responding entirely. This sudden silence raised immediate concern. The uploader explained that his friend was someone who always stayed in contact, especially when traveling or exploring remote areas. The lack of communication, coming just days after the discovery, felt unusual and difficult to ignore. It created a sense that something might have gone wrong, particularly given the isolated and challenging environment of the canyon. As the image began to circulate online, reactions poured in from people who claimed to have heard similar stories about the region. Some suggested that the Grand Canyon holds more than just natural wonders, pointing to rumors of hidden structures, concealed locations, and areas that few have ever fully explored. Others spoke of explorers who ventured off the beaten path in search of these places, only to never be heard from again. The structure itself adds to the intrigue. Its shape does not appear random, and the entrance suggests that it was meant to be accessed by people. The rock above it, balanced in a way that seems almost intentional, gives the impression of design rather than coincidence. For many viewers, this raises the question of who could have built such a structure and for what purpose, especially in a location so remote. The absence of any official explanation only deepens the mystery. No known records or maps seem to reference a structure like this, leaving it unaccounted for within the documented history of the area. Combined with the story of the missing explorer, the image takes on an even more unsettling tone. Strange jellyfish UFO caught on camera. A strange video uploaded by a user named Rin has sparked curiosity and discussion after capturing what appears to be an unusual object drifting high in the sky. The footage shows a dark, jellyfish-like shape suspended far above, with thin, trailing strands moving gently as if floating through the air. Its form is unlike anything commonly seen, creating an immediate sense of intrigue. Rin explained that she initially considered the possibility that it might be a kite. However, the size and altitude of the object made that explanation difficult to accept. It appeared far too large and positioned much higher than typical objects of that kind. She also noted that it was difficult to capture clearly, as if it existed just beyond easy visibility, adding to the mystery of the sighting. What makes the video even more compelling is the resemblance to other reports that have surfaced over the years. Similar jellyfish-like objects have been described by witnesses in different locations, often appearing in the sky with the same drifting motion and unusual structure. These recurring descriptions have led some to believe that these sightings may be connected. The object in Rin's footage does not behave like a conventional aerial object. It moves in a slow, almost deliberate manner, with no visible propulsion or structure that can easily be identified. Its presence feels out of place against the open sky, as though it belongs to something not yet fully understood. Strange video filmed in the Philippines. A quiet evening in San Jose, Batangas, in the Philippines, became the setting for a moment that would leave an entire family in stunned silence. They had been gathered together in their backyard, enjoying a peaceful time as the children played nearby. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and the calm atmosphere made what happened next even more difficult to comprehend. Without warning, a glowing sphere of light appeared in the neighboring lot. It did not arrive with sound or movement that could easily be explained. Instead, it simply manifested, shining with an intensity that immediately captured everyone's attention. The light it gave off was unlike anything the family had ever seen before. It did not seem to reflect off surrounding objects in the way typical light would. Instead, it appeared to generate its own unique glow, almost as if it existed independently from the environment around it. For a moment, no one spoke. The family stood frozen, watching the sphere as they tried to understand what they were witnessing. There was a sense of awe mixed with confusion as their minds searched for a logical explanation that never came. The children, who had been playing just moments earlier, now stood still, drawn to the strange presence that had interrupted their evening. The sphere remained visible long enough to leave a lasting impression on everyone present. It was not fleeting in the sense of a passing reflection or a distant light source. It felt deliberate, almost as if it had appeared with purpose. Yet, just as suddenly as it arrived, it was gone, leaving behind only questions and a memory that none of them could easily dismiss. This video was just shared on social media, and people can't explain what it is. One individual in London has come forward with a fascinating story of how they were able to video a mysterious object close to the moon. The eyewitness provided the following statement. "I saw this object moving across the moon last night. I can tell you it was exactly 6 minutes past 11 when it happened. Apart from being surprised at the moon's beauty, I couldn't believe there was a long object moving very slowly from left to right. Has anyone seen anything like this before? And can someone help me find an explanation, please? I posted on the London subreddit, but I'm not sure we found any explanations. I don't think it's a stationary object, as the moon is moving from left to right. Therefore, if the object is stationary, then it would go from right to left in this video, which it doesn't. It's a good idea, but I think it's definitely a very slow-moving object." End quote. The woman, who at the time was gazing towards the brightly lit moon, witnessed a large black object fly across it, and once she reviewed the footage, she decided to post it to the UFO subreddit, and interestingly enough, others came forward and said they saw the same thing in different areas of the country. Another eyewitness, who we talked to, said that it was a clear night in London, and that the moon looked particularly large and orange, which is why they were looking at it. This eyewitness described the object as a huge black object that silently and swiftly traversed the moon. Its silhouette stood in stark contrast against the bright moon, making its presence unmistakable. The eyewitness said that she wasn't able to capture a clear image of the mysterious object, but added that she could easily detail her experience, saying that she had never seen anything like it before. They added that they've reached out to UFO research organizations. As of right now, news of the sighting has started to quickly spread, capturing the attention of UFO researchers. Many amateur researchers who have studied UFO sightings have said that mysterious crafts above London are not a recent phenomenon. Reports of strange objects in the sky have been recorded for decades, often dismissed as misidentifications or the result of vivid imaginations. However, a closer examination of some of these accounts reveals a pattern of credible sightings that cannot be easily explained away. One of the earliest documented sightings occurred during World War II, when both Allied and Axis pilots reported seeing Foo Fighters, mysterious glowing objects that followed their aircraft. While these sightings were not limited to London, they marked the beginning of serious military and scientific interest in unexplained aerial phenomena. In the post-war era, the most famous London UFO sighting took place in 1952, when multiple witnesses, including police officers, observed a large, disc-shaped object hovering over the city. This incident, widely reported in the media, prompted investigations by both local authorities and independent researchers. Despite extensive inquiries, no conventional explanation could be found. Interestingly, reports of UFOs near the moon date back to the early days of telescopic observations. Astronomers in the 19th century, such as William Herschel and Johann Schroeter, documented unusual lights and objects moving across the lunar surface. While these early reports were often dismissed or attributed to observational errors, they set the stage for more detailed and credible sightings in the modern era. One of the most compelling incidents occurred during the Apollo missions. Astronauts on several missions reported seeing unidentified objects near the Moon. More recently, amateur astronomers equipped with high-powered telescopes and cameras have captured footage of unexplained objects near the lunar surface, and these sightings often feature objects moving at high speeds, changing direction abruptly, and exhibiting flight characteristics beyond known human technology. The clarity and consistency of these observations have sparked renewed interest and serious consideration within the scientific community. If we accept the premise that UFOs observed near the Moon are real and genuine, several potential explanations arise, each with profound implications for our understanding of the universe. The most exciting explanation is that these unidentified objects are spacecraft powered by advanced beings, or drones that have been sent out by them, and this theory is becoming more popular as clearer photographs are being uploaded online. Many who have seen them have stated that their rounded shape looks like advanced drones and could have been sent out by a larger ship. Believers in this theory have said that this is why so many of them appear to be on a mission. They have been given the name of fast walkers, and they are often detected at high altitudes and speeds that far surpass conventional aircraft. A growing number of observers now believe that a new interstellar visitor has entered our solar system, one that may be far more mysterious than any seen before. The belief stems from a series of extraordinary images captured near the Sun, showing what appears to be a massive, perfectly spherical object moving through space. The object's immense size and proximity to the Sun have sparked global debate, with many suggesting it could be an artificial craft or an advanced probe drawing energy directly from the star itself. These images, captured by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, reveal what looks like a colossal sphere, smooth, shadowed, and almost artificial in appearance, nestled within the radiant plumes of the Sun's corona. What makes these photographs even more mystifying is that the object seems to appear twice, in two different locations, suggesting that it may not be a fleeting artifact or trick of light, but rather a physical presence of unimaginable proportions. If these images depict what they appear to, a true spherical object near the Sun, the implications are nothing short of profound. The Sun's outer atmosphere, known as the corona, burns at millions of degrees. Any known human-made material would disintegrate instantly in such conditions. Yet, this mysterious object appears to remain intact, unaffected by the intense radiation, solar wind, or gravitational forces that dominate the region. To withstand such an environment, it would have to be composed of materials far beyond current human technology, leading some observers to suggest it may not be of terrestrial origin at all. This possibility has sparked widespread speculation that the object could be an enormous craft, a megastructure, perhaps designed to harvest energy directly from the Sun. The concept of such an undertaking has long been theorized in scientific circles, most famously in the form of a Dyson sphere. Proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 20th century, a Dyson sphere is a hypothetical structure built around a star to capture its energy output for advanced technological purposes. The idea has remained a theoretical concept, until now, some argue. To witness an object that resembles this concept operating near our own Sun would mark one of the most extraordinary discoveries in human history. Those who have studied these images in detail have noted the precision of the sphere's edges and the apparent glow surrounding it, as if it were enveloped in a self-generated field. Some have suggested that the luminous aura may represent a form of energy collection, possibly the absorption or redirection of solar plasma. Others have proposed that the sphere could be using the Sun's immense energy as a means of propulsion, refueling, or power generation. Whatever its purpose, the sight of such a large, clearly defined object near the Sun defies ordinary explanation. Adding to the mystery is the fact that this is not the first time such anomalies have been seen. Over the past 2 decades, observatories like the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory and NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory have repeatedly recorded geometric objects, spheres, cubes, and even elongated structures, appearing near the Sun. In many cases, these shapes have seemed to move with intention, shifting positions or maintaining fixed locations against the solar wind, behavior inconsistent with random space debris. Some even appear to interact with the Sun's surface, drawing plasma streams or causing localized disturbances before vanishing from view. For decades, official explanations have attributed such images to pixel interference, camera sensor damage, or reflections within the telescope's optical housing. Yet, many researchers argue that this does not fully explain the consistency and symmetry of these recurring phenomena. In this latest case, the object's perfect circular shape and the clear distinction between its illuminated and shadowed sides suggest something tangible and deliberate. The level of clarity also rules out cosmic rays or digital artifacts, which typically appear as random streaks or irregular blotches rather than structured forms. The fact that the same object, or one remarkably similar, appeared in two separate locations and timeframes only deepens the mystery. This continuity suggests movement or repositioning, the kind expected from a controlled or guided body rather than a static illusion. Some investigators have hypothesized that the object might employ cloaking or light-bending technologies, usually remaining invisible until powerful electromagnetic outbursts, such as solar flares, disrupt its concealment. The sudden bursts of radiation from the sun could briefly reveal its outline, casting its smooth spherical surface into view for only a few moments before it vanishes once more into the blinding light. The secrecy surrounding much of NASA's solar observation data has also fueled public curiosity. The Solar Dynamics Observatory records enormous volumes of footage each day, but only a select fraction is ever released to the public. This has led many to wonder how many such anomalies might go unreported, or worse, deliberately withheld. Could these spheres be a recurring presence, captured more often than we realize, only to be filtered out before public release? Such questions echo the broader sentiment that not all discoveries in space are openly shared, especially when they defy conventional explanation. Those who subscribe to the theory of advanced civilizations visiting or monitoring our solar system argue that the sun would be an ideal focal point for extraterrestrial technology. As the source of immense and consistent energy, it could serve as a universal refueling station, a power source, or even a communications hub. The sun's extreme radiation would also act as a natural deterrent, concealing any operations taking place within its glare from prying telescopic eyes on Earth. A civilization advanced enough to travel interstellar distances would likely have the means to manipulate energy at this scale, and could easily operate in the sun's vicinity without detection. Others interpret the object as part of an ongoing study of solar activity, possibly a massive probe designed to monitor fluctuations in magnetic fields or plasma ejections. Some even speculate that it could belong to a hidden human program, a form of technology more advanced than what has been publicly disclosed. The idea of classified space operations is not new, and if such a craft exists, the sun would provide a perfect cover for testing or energy acquisition beyond the reach of ordinary satellites. Still, there are those who sense something far older at play. Ancient cultures often associated the sun with divine presence and power, describing it as both a giver of life and a gateway to other realms. The appearance of a vast, spherical entity near the sun has led some to connect these modern observations with ancient myths, tales of celestial beings, solar deities, and fiery chariots that traveled through the heavens. Perhaps, they suggest, our ancestors witnessed similar phenomena long ago, recording them through the language and symbolism of their time. What cannot be denied is the scale of the object, if its proximity to the sun is accurately interpreted. Based on visual comparison, the sphere could be several times the size of Earth, a scale so vast that it challenges human comprehension. To exist, move, and maintain form in such an environment would require mastery over physics and energy beyond anything currently known. The sheer audacity of such technology points not just to intelligence, but to a civilization whose understanding of stellar mechanics might span millennia. The appearance of this sphere has reignited public fascination with what may be occurring within the solar system's inner regions. If the object truly exists as it appears, it could represent a paradigm-shifting discovery, evidence that humanity is not alone in the cosmos, and that others may already be interacting with our sun in ways we can scarcely imagine. Yet, beyond speculation lies a profound sense of wonder. The possibility that vast, unseen presences move within our solar neighborhood reminds humanity of how little we truly know. Even with all the satellites, observatories, and telescopes scanning the heavens, the universe remains full of mysteries, and perhaps even visitors, that defy our expectations. In the last few days, Earth has experienced heightened solar turmoil, and the skies above our planet have shifted into a canvas of color and wonder. A powerful coronal mass ejection had erupted from the Sun, sending a wave of charged particles toward the planet and creating one of the most vivid global displays of the northern lights seen in years. Yet among the thousands of photographs shared, one image taken in California stood apart for reasons far stranger than the auroras themselves. The witness, a resident living on the outskirts of a quiet California town, had stepped outside shortly after sunset to take photographs of the northern lights. With her camera, she captured sweeping bands of pale green as they drifted over the landscape. It was then, while reviewing her images, that she saw something that did not belong. In the upper portion of one photograph, partially veiled by the luminous haze of the aurora, was a shape that seemed to flicker in and out of visibility. It was not a cloud, nor a star, nor an artifact from her camera. It was something geometric, defined by edges that were too precise, too angular, too deliberate to be a natural formation. She zoomed in on the object and was struck with a chill of recognition. The shape resembled a large black triangle, but its surface seemed to distort the air around it, as if it were phasing in and out of the visible spectrum. She described the experience as witnessing a glitch in the fabric of reality, like something partially cloaked that was never meant to be seen. The object did not emit light, yet it maintained a faint, ghost-like outline, silhouetted only by the glow of the northern lights behind it. She watched it for several long moments, unable to look away. The stillness of it was unsettling, as if this triangle-shaped craft were suspended silently above her home, observing without movement. Feeling a rush of fear and disbelief, she ran inside to call her husband, urging him to witness what she had seen. Yet by the time they returned only moments later, the object had vanished completely. Not a trace of its outline remained in the sky. They stayed outside for more than an hour, hoping it would reappear, but the sky remained still except for the drifting auroras. When she shared her photographs online, amateur researchers immediately took interest. The triangular silhouette matched descriptions of countless sightings reported over the past several decades. Enormous, silent, angular craft that appeared to glide effortlessly through the sky, often remaining visible only for brief moments before fading into the darkness. Many of these sightings described the objects as cloaked, as if using some form of technology that blended them into the night sky. What made this case particularly compelling was the presence of the auroras. Some suggested that the influx of charged solar particles interfered with the craft's cloaking system, causing it to partially reveal itself and allowing the camera to capture its outline. Throughout modern history, triangle-shaped UFOs have been reported across nearly every region of the planet. Witnesses commonly describe them as massive structures with lights at each corner, capable of hovering silently for long periods before accelerating at unimaginable speeds. They move with a precision that seems beyond any known form of propulsion. Their silent nature is one of their most distinctive features. Observers often remark that they produce no sound whatsoever, even when appearing low enough in the sky that any aircraft should have rattled rooftops with its engines. Instead, an eerie stillness surrounds them, as if they dampen or absorb the sound around their presence. One long-standing theory proposes that these craft belong to an advanced, non-human intelligence. Proponents argue that the way these objects maneuver defies the limits of human engineering. Their ability to hover weightlessly, transition into rapid flight without visible thrusters, and appear or disappear at will suggests a mastery over physics that far exceeds terrestrial capabilities. Some believe that such craft might utilize gravity manipulation, optical distortion, or even forms of propulsion unknown to modern science. Within this interpretation, the California sighting becomes part of a pattern, one that suggests these craft have been quietly observing the planet for a very long time. The witness's description of the object flickering into visibility aligns with the idea that such craft are designed to remain hidden from human eyes, revealing themselves only when environmental conditions interfere with their technology. The powerful solar storm and intense auroras may have disrupted the cloaking mechanism, allowing the witness to capture a rare image of a craft that typically remains unseen. Another widely discussed possibility is that these triangular craft are part of highly classified human aerospace programs. Some researchers argue that government agencies have developed advanced stealth vehicles capable of silent flight and unusual movement patterns. These programs, they say, may have been running for decades, with sightings being accidental exposures of technology intended to remain secret. However, even supporters of this explanation acknowledge its limitations. If such craft were human-made, the level of secrecy surrounding them would be extraordinary, and their performance capabilities would surpass anything publicly acknowledged by any nation on Earth. Additionally, the sheer number of sightings worldwide, often occurring in remote or unexpected locations, suggests a presence that seems far too widespread to be explained solely by classified military tests. Many of the sightings occur in regions with no connection to military bases or testing grounds. In these contexts, the extraterrestrial interpretation remains compelling to those who believe the phenomenon extends beyond human innovation. As the auroras continued to glow across the world, the California sighting became one of the most talked-about anomalies of the event. People marveled at the possibility that the solar storm had revealed something hidden in the sky, something that watchers had sensed for years but rarely captured in such a compelling form. In UFO groups, more individuals began to share similar experiences. Some claimed to have seen sudden flickering lights in the sky that vanished when observed directly. The world had stepped outside to witness a natural wonder, but in doing so, countless eyes were opened to something far stranger. The Northern Lights, magnificent in their own right, had become the backdrop to a deeper mystery, one that suggested that humanity might not be alone, and that something advanced, silent, and watchful had been observing from above. For the woman who captured the now famous photograph, the experience left a lasting impression. The object she saw was not a distant shape or a fleeting light. It was a towering, silent craft that appeared as a dark triangle hovering high above the earth, its presence revealed only because nature briefly lifted the veil that hid it. She had captured a moment that many believed represented undeniable evidence of something far greater than human understanding. On a rainy afternoon, a grainy clip from the 1980s surfaced online and quickly became the subject of speculation. The footage, introduced by Eddie Abbott, a veteran military intelligence analyst, claims to show Soviet-era recovery teams unearthing a massive buried craft of such scale and sophistication that it defies conventional explanation. According to Abbott, the video is authentic, Russian in origin, and dates back to a time when many nations quietly recovered objects that society was not yet ready to comprehend.
You know, sometimes a video comes across that you cannot believe. Just got released. This video we're about to watch is from the 1980s, and it is a Russian footage video. They uncovered a massive craft buried under the ground. This video is 100% legitimate. The footage is absolutely spectacular. We had heard about things like this when I was in the military, knowing full well we have recovered giant craft like this ourselves. We heard that it was not just our country, it was all over. So what you're about to see is going to blow your mind. This craft is over 2 football fields long in each direction. It is enormous. It took them years to dig it up, to excavate it. I don't know what happened to the craft, but I know this is legitimate. Check this out.
He speaks with the low, controlled authority of someone who has worked in classified environments and seen more than he could ever speak about publicly. His tone, his specificity, and the weight of his experience have convinced a great many people that what they are watching is not mere cinema or a hoax, but a window into an era of secret operations and extraordinary technological discoveries. The footage itself is cinematic in its own raw way. Shot from multiple angles by crews who appear to be documenting an official recovery, the images show teams laboring with heavy machinery, shoring up deep excavations and revealing an object so vast it dwarfs the surrounding cranes and flatbeds. Abbott's commentary frames the scale in terms the public immediately understands. The craft measures over 2 football fields in each direction. The comparison is deliberately chosen not only for its visual clarity, but for its emotional punch. 2 football fields is a size that challenges comprehension. It implies an engineering ambition and manufacturing capability far beyond anything publicly acknowledged at the time. Abbott insists that the recovery took years, that the operation required specialized equipment and extraordinary secrecy, and that the final disposition of the craft remains unknown to the public. If the footage is genuine, the implications are staggering. A buried object of that magnitude, discovered in the Soviet Union during the 1980s, would have required a level of interagency collaboration and technical secrecy only possible in a state prepared to marshal immense resources. It would also suggest that the world's understanding of aerospace and subterranean technologies has been incomplete, possibly deliberately so. Abbott's voice carries the residue of this implication. He speaks as someone who has navigated classified corridors and seen how information is parceled, protected, and occasionally released. He is as critical of sensationalist media as he is firm about the reality of the footage. The world needed to see this. Reactions to the release of the video have been immediate and polarized. For many viewers, the footage provides vindication of long-held suspicions that great powers have recovered and studied non-conventional craft, that history is punctuated by episodes of extraordinary retrieval and containment, and that such episodes have been quietly catalogued in classified archives. Veterans, engineers, and some retired intelligence officers have weighed in, offering analyses about material fatigue, excavation techniques, and the plausibility of the craft's structural features. Their assessments, whether tentative or confident, have lent a sheen of technical credibility to the raw footage. People who have spent careers in aerospace and defense look at the angles, weld marks, openings, and mounting points and see an object whose sophistication is hard to reconcile with known Cold War-era projects. At the same time, skeptics have raised important questions. The 1980s were a fertile period for both state propaganda and imaginative filmmaking. Photographic manipulation existed then as it does now, and the possibility of staged footage cannot be dismissed outright. Critics point to lighting inconsistencies, the absence of corroborating archival documents, and the lack of an official admission from any government as reasons to remain cautious. The scientific method demands that extraordinary claims be met with extraordinary evidence, and so long as critical information, metallurgical analyses, chain of custody documentation, and authenticated testimonies from those directly involved remains unavailable, skepticism will hold sway in many quarters. Abbott anticipates this response and addresses it directly by leaning on personal credibility and experience. He recounts that, during his time in uniform, he heard of recoveries like this one from colleagues who had been present at similar scenes. He describes a tacit international awareness that recoveries were not confined to a single country. For him, the most plausible explanation is that numerous nations stumbled upon objects that required immediate classification and containment. Abbott's account suggests a quiet, cross-national consensus. Some discoveries are too disruptive to be released into public discourse without preparation. He argues that the footage, having surfaced now, offers a rare chance to open a door that authorities have kept closed for decades. The larger cultural reaction has been predictable in some ways and revelatory in others. On social media, the clip ignited a frenzy of analysis. Users paused frames, annotated weld patterns, compared structural geometry with known aircraft, and debated possible propulsion systems. Mainstream outlets, initially cautious, began to run measured pieces that interviewed historians, engineers, and intelligence analysts about the broader context of Cold War recoveries. podcasts devoted entire episodes to parsing Abbott's testimony and the footage's provenance. The sheer scale of public curiosity has turned this into a phenomenon that transcends mere curiosity. It has become a test of institutional transparency. Citizens are asking whether governments have the right to withhold discoveries of such magnitude, and whether the public should ever be shielded from knowledge about technologies that could have profound ethical, strategic, or societal impacts. Beyond questions of provenance and proof, there are deeper ethical and strategic issues at stake. If the craft is, as Abbott suggests, of non-conventional origin, intelligent in design, or beyond the industrial repertoire of the era, then the regulated study of such an object raises moral questions about safety, autonomy, and the rights of humanity to access transformative knowledge. Conversely, if the craft is a product of clandestine terrestrial engineering, the concerns are about the balance of power, which nations possess asymmetrical capabilities, who controls deployment, and how accountability can be ensured in a world where technological advantage translates directly into strategic leverage. Abbott's plea to the public is not merely to believe, it is to engage. He asks viewers to rewind, to scrutinize, and to share, because openness, he implies, is the best safeguard against secrecy run amok. The footage, in this telling, becomes more than a record. It becomes a catalyst for civic conversation about what governments should disclose and how societies should grapple with discoveries that defy ordinary categories. It invites scientists, journalists, policymakers, and citizens to challenge the historical practice of containment and to advocate for mechanisms that allow for rigorous, transparent study without compromising legitimate security concerns. As the debate over the footage continues, one thing is clear. The world received, in a compact burst of grainy frames and sober commentary, a provocation. Whether the clip is authenticated by independent forensic study or remains a contested artifact, it has already served a crucial social function. It has forced questions into public space, questions about what governments might withhold, how our historical record is constructed, and who gets to decide what the public knows. For many, Eddie Abbott's testimony will be the touchstone that transforms rumour into plausible reality. For others, it will remain a captivating but unverified piece of Cold War lore. Either way, the video has reopened a conversation about the limits of secrecy and the rights of a public to understand the technologies that shape its future. The footage will be debated, dissected, and investigated further, but its most enduring effect may be the simple reminder that the past still has the power to astonish, and that our collective appetite for truth, once awakened, rarely goes back to sleep. This mysterious photograph taken by an amateur astronomer has quickly gained attention online after he noticed a strange object hidden within it. During the early hours of the 12th of November, the astronomer had been attempting to capture long-exposure images of the interstellar visitor known as 3I Atlas, an object that has drawn immense global attention since its discovery on the 1st of July in the year 2025. Like hundreds of others across the world, he set up his camera and telescope, carefully adjusted his equipment, and began photographing the region of the sky through which the interstellar object was expected to move. He had no reason to expect anything unusual, yet what he later discovered would leave him stunned. The astronomer explained that he performed a series of long exposures, each lasting between 15 and 20 seconds, hoping the increased exposure time would help reveal faint traces of the interstellar object. It was not until he returned home later that evening and reviewed the images on the 12th of November that he noticed something strange tucked into the background of one of the frames. There, suspended against the backdrop of distant stars, was a glowing, diamond-shaped object unlike anything he had ever captured before. He immediately understood that this was not a photographic artifact, nor an accidental smudge, nor an unrelated flare. The object displayed clarity, structure, and symmetry far too precise to dismiss. The photograph, shared only hours later on a Facebook page dedicated to investigating mysterious anomalies, quickly spread among amateur observers. Viewers were surprised by the mysterious object's distinct geometric shape, describing it as a massive diamond-like craft that appeared both luminous and sharply defined. The astronomer himself noted that he had never witnessed anything with such a solid outline or such perfect symmetry within a deep sky long exposure. It completely defied any explanation rooted in natural celestial behavior. As more amateur researchers studied the image, They were immediately struck by its scale. For such an object to have been captured so clearly against the field of distant stars, it must have been immense in size. Even more astonishing was its apparent position near the path of Atlas. The alignment suggested that the object was not simply an unrelated anomaly drifting through space, but potentially something that had been near the interstellar comet for an extended period of time. Many researchers pointed out that its placement was too precise to be coincidental. Atlas itself has captured enormous interest since its discovery. Being only the third confirmed interstellar object to enter the solar system, its passage has inspired professional and amateur astronomers across the globe to document its trajectory. Unlike the previous interstellar visitors, Atlas has displayed unusual light profiles and irregular fluctuations, contributing to speculation that something unique accompanied it. When the mysterious photograph emerged, many felt it offered the strongest visual indication that another object, possibly artificial, could be traveling alongside the interstellar visitor. Those studying the photograph focused on the object's structure. Natural celestial bodies, even asteroids or cometary fragments, rarely exhibit perfect geometric symmetry. Yet the luminous diamond shape in the image showed clear edges, a central axis, and a uniform glow. Its brightness seemed to radiate evenly from multiple points, with no irregular shadows, surface markings, or signs of fragmentation. It possessed a clarity that suggested construction rather than natural formation. Many observers remarked that it resembled a large machine rather than a celestial object. The light emitted or reflected by the diamond-shaped craft added another layer of intrigue. Its glow was steady, smooth and purposeful, not scattered or chaotic like the light of a tumbling rock. The illumination appeared to come from several distinct points, arranged symmetrically along its form. To those who examined the photograph closely, the object seemed to possess a front section, a rear taper, and multiple glowing nodes. The arrangement resembled intentional design rather than cosmic randomness. Speculation arose that the object's visibility may have been influenced by the long exposure setting. A 15 to 20 second exposure can reveal faint objects normally invisible to the naked eye, allowing hidden or partially cloaked structures to momentarily reveal themselves. This led many to suggest that the object was using some form of cloaking or optical masking technology. Under typical circumstances, such a craft may remain invisible, but the extended exposure time combined with its proximity to the interstellar comet may have caused the faint glow to slip through. Furthermore, the idea that the object was intentionally following or escorting Atlas gained traction quickly. Interstellar visitors are unpredictable, yet this particular object appeared to remain in a consistent formation relative to the comet's projected path. Amateur researchers argued that the photograph captured not just a random diamond-shaped craft, but possibly an advanced vehicle monitoring or accompanying the interstellar traveler. Some theorists even proposed that Atlas itself could be more than a simple comet, and that the luminous diamond object might be interacting with it or observing its passage through the solar system. This possibility gained even more support due to the object's immense size. Estimates based on pixel distribution and star scaling suggested it could be enormous, far larger than any known human-made spacecraft. Its structural clarity indicated a level of engineering well beyond present-day capabilities. Silent, symmetrical, luminous, and precisely shaped, it bore all the hallmarks of advanced construction. The photograph also inspired intense discussion about previous sightings of diamond-shaped craft reported by skywatchers around the world. For years, observers have described both triangular and diamond-shaped unidentified flying objects moving silently, hovering effortlessly, or appearing suddenly before fading from view. The object in this photograph shared characteristics with many of these reports, especially its hard-edged silhouette, central glow, and perfectly balanced geometry. Some researchers proposed that the diamond craft may belong to a group of interstellar probes capable of long-distance travel and monitoring. If such devices exist, they could operate independently, slipping through space and observing celestial bodies with sophisticated detection systems. The photograph's clarity suggested that the object may have momentarily powered up, adjusted its orientation, or activated a light-based mechanism that became visible during the long exposure. Others believed that the craft might be performing escort duties, ensuring that Atlas remained stable on its journey through the solar system. The idea that interstellar objects are monitored or guided by advanced technology has circulated for decades, and the diamond-shaped craft offers compelling visual evidence supporting those theories. Its position, brightness, and structure align perfectly with the concept of an intelligent craft overseeing a celestial traveler. As the image continued circulating among astronomers, many expressed that this could be one of the most significant accidental captures in the history of amateur astrophotography. While countless skywatchers were attempting to photograph the interstellar visitor, only one appears to have captured this extraordinary luminous object. The timing, the clarity, and the unmistakable geometry of the craft suggest a rare moment in which hidden technology revealed itself through the camera's prolonged exposure. For the astronomer who took the photograph, the discovery has been transformative. What began as a routine observing session abruptly became a moment of profound mystery. He expressed astonishment that such an object was present in the background, noting that he had never encountered anything with such form or complexity in all of his years photographing deep space. His dedication to capturing the interstellar visitor inadvertently led him to something even more extraordinary. The photograph stands now as a compelling testament to the unexplained phenomena unfolding around Atlas. With every passing day, more astronomers turn their lenses toward the skies, hoping to replicate the image or observe additional anomalies near the interstellar visitor. The diamond-shaped craft has reignited global interest not only in Atlas, but in the broader mystery of objects moving silently and intelligently through space. In the months leading up to his passing in February 2025, Dr. Harold Malmgren, a distinguished advisor to 4 US presidents, began to disclose a series of extraordinary events that had remained classified for decades. Among these revelations was an incident during the 1962 Bluegill Triple Prime nuclear test, part of Operation Dominic, where a UFO was allegedly shot down. This disclosure has reignited discussions about the intersection of nuclear weapons testing and unidentified aerial phenomena, shedding light on a potentially pivotal moment in Cold War history. The early 1960s were marked by heightened tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union, with events such as the Bay of Pigs invasion and the Cuban Missile Crisis bringing the world perilously close to nuclear conflict. Dr. Malmgren, serving within the Defense Atomic Support Agency, was at the forefront of these developments, advising on matters of national security and nuclear policy. He often found himself at odds with military figures like General Curtis LeMay, known for his aggressive stance on nuclear engagement. Operation Dominic was a series of nuclear tests conducted by the United States in 1962, aimed at understanding the effects of nuclear detonations at various altitudes. Within this operation, the Bluegill Triple Prime test, conducted on October 26, 1962, involved the detonation of a nuclear warhead at high altitude to study its impact on missile systems and electronic equipment. The test was meticulously planned, with restricted airspace and advanced recording equipment to capture every detail. According to Dr. Malmgren, during the Bluegill Triple Prime test, an unidentified object was observed following the test missile. These objects, colloquially referred to as tagalongs, had been noted in previous tests, often appearing in proximity to missile launches. In this instance, the object was caught in the nuclear explosion's fireball, an environment with temperatures estimated to reach around 1 million degrees, sufficient to vaporize any known material. Remarkably, footage from the test reportedly shows an object falling from the fireball, suggesting it survived the extreme conditions. Further intrigue arises from the existence of 2 separate recordings of the test, one from Los Alamos National Laboratory and another from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. In the Los Alamos footage, the object is visible falling from the explosion, while the Lawrence Livermore footage appears to have a white triangle obscuring the same area, implying deliberate redaction. This discrepancy raises questions about the nature of the object and the reasons for its concealment. Naval logs from the day of the test report the recovery of 2 unusual objects from the ocean, a black ball and a green tube, both emitting radiation. These items did not correspond to any known test equipment and were found in the vicinity of the test site, suggesting a possible connection to the unidentified object observed in the footage. The recovery of these items points to a potential crash retrieval operation, a notion supported by subsequent classified briefings and visits to Los Alamos National Laboratory by high-ranking officials, including President John F. Kennedy. Malmgren's daughter, Dr. Pippa Malmgren, an economist and former presidential advisor, corroborated her father's accounts, noting that he referred to these objects as tag-alongs and had long been aware of their presence during nuclear tests. She emphasized that her father had been reticent to discuss these events publicly until shortly before his death, when he felt compelled to share his experiences. The involvement of General Curtis LeMay adds another layer to the narrative. LeMay, known for his staunch advocacy of nuclear readiness, was reportedly present during the classified briefings following the Bluegill Triple Prime test. Senator Barry Goldwater later recounted an incident where he inquired about the existence of a secret UFO repository at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, only to be rebuffed angrily by LeMay, who denied access and refused to discuss the matter further. This interaction suggests a concerted effort to maintain secrecy around UFO-related incidents. The broader context of these events intersects with ongoing discussions about governmental transparency regarding UAPs. In a surprising turn of events, the Wikipedia page of Dr. Harold Malmgren has been suddenly nominated for deletion. The timing has sparked widespread concern among researchers and members of the UFO disclosure community, many of whom believe the move may be part of a coordinated effort to diminish Malmgren's credibility posthumously. For decades, his public service and policy influence were uncontested, making the deletion effort appear out of place. Critics argue that this only began once he started speaking openly about high-level briefings and encounters with recovered UFO materials during the final months of his life. The attempt to erase his digital legacy has fueled speculation of a deeper cover-up, raising serious questions about the suppression of whistleblower testimony and historical truth. Recent legislative efforts, such as the 2023 UFO Disclosure Act, aim to address the classification of information related to unidentified phenomena, particularly when such classification stems from interpretations of the Atomic Energy Act of 1954. The Act's provisions have been cited as a means to withhold information under the guise of protecting nuclear secrets, thereby limiting public and congressional access to potentially significant data. Dr. Malmgren's revelations, supported by documentation and corroborated by other witnesses, underscore the need for a re-evaluation of policies surrounding the disclosure of information related to UAPs. The intersection of national security, scientific inquiry, and public interest necessitates a balanced approach that ensures transparency without compromising legitimate security concerns. In conclusion, the account provided by Dr. Harold Malmgren regarding the 1962 Bluegill Triple Prime nuclear test presents compelling evidence of an encounter with an unidentified object during a critical period in Cold War history. The incident, characterized by the observation, potential downing, and recovery of a UFO, has been shrouded in secrecy for decades. In the final months of his life, Dr. Harold Malmgren, a respected advisor to 4 US presidents, revealed what may be among the most extraordinary and perplexing experiences of his career, one tied to the UFO phenomena and national defense secrets dating back to the early 1960s. While many viewed Malmgren as a traditional foreign policy and economic advisor, his late-life disclosures shed light on deeply classified interactions that suggest a level of technological and psychological phenomena far beyond conventional scientific understanding. After the Bluegill Triple Prime nuclear test in October 1962, an event already surrounded by controversy due to an alleged UFO being downed during the detonation, Malmgren was brought into a rarefied circle of individuals within the government who had knowledge of what were referred to as otherworld technologies. His encounter with Lawrence Gies, the then regional director of the Atomic Energy Commission, was not only strange, but marked the beginning of Malmgren's entry into a world far removed from conventional policy briefings. Gies was no ordinary bureaucrat. Beyond his position at the Atomic Energy Commission, he was one of the early deputy administrators for the newly formed Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency in 1958. As the grandfather of Jeff Bezos, his name would eventually resurface in a vastly different context, but his work at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency placed him at the forefront of the United States' most secretive technological pursuits. Under Gies's watch, DARPA contributed to the development of ARPANET, the foundation of the internet, as well as early versions of GPS and, more recently, brain interfacing nanoparticle technologies that are today being studied for potential military applications. According to Malmgren's daughter, Dr. Pippa Malmgren, who recounted some of these events, her father met Gies in his office after the Bluegill test. On his desk were physical fragments, pieces allegedly recovered from the object that fell from the nuclear fireball. Gies invited Malmgren to touch the materials and describe his sensations. When Malmgren did, he reported experiencing a kind of auditory phenomenon, voices, though no one was speaking. Gies' response suggested this was expected. He explained that some of the recovered material had interactive properties that appeared to manifest only with certain individuals. This interaction raises profound questions, not only about the technology involved, but about the nature of consciousness itself. Telepathic or non-vocal communication has long been associated with reports of close encounters and abduction cases. Dr. John Mack, the former head of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, investigated hundreds of such cases and often found that experiencers described similar mental communication. While these claims have been dismissed by skeptics as fantasy or delusion, there is growing evidence that science is beginning to bridge the gap between mind and machine. The use of brain-computer interfaces is no longer speculative. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency's current projects include injecting nanoparticles into the human brain to map neurons and allow soldiers to interface with drones and defense systems simply by thinking. With this context in mind, the idea that exotic materials, possibly extraterrestrial in origin, could interact with human consciousness is no longer outside the realm of scientific curiosity. Instead, it aligns with a growing body of research suggesting technology and consciousness may one day be as intertwined as silicon and code. Malmgren's account of his experience with Gies is admittedly one of the more extraordinary claims he made, yet he seemed fully aware of its implications. Given his lifelong credibility and the timing of the revelations just before his passing, it appears that Malmgren was committed to sharing the full truth, no matter how unbelievable it might seem to others. Following this strange encounter, Gies arranged another meeting, this time with Richard Bissell, the former CIA Deputy Director for Plans and one of the most influential architects of covert Cold War operations. Bissell was infamous for his involvement in the failed Bay of Pigs invasion and for working closely with figures in the mafia to carry out operations against Fidel Castro. He also played a major role in the development of the CIA's top-secret, highly classified United States Air Force facility within the Nevada Test and Training Range facility and co-founded the National Reconnaissance Office, which was responsible for satellite intelligence gathering. Malmgren recalled that during their first meeting, Bissell said something that would stay with him for decades. "You are the youngest of the whiz kids. I am going to tell you things because someone needs to know this in the future, and you'll still be around." This declaration was not casual. It was a calculated decision by Bissell to pass along knowledge to a trusted insider who would serve future administrations. Malmgren would go on to advise 3 more presidents, and Bissell evidently wanted at least one advisor to the highest office in the land to understand that certain truths about advanced technology and possibly non-human intelligence existed far outside the public's awareness. Bissell and Malmgren reportedly met every Friday for months, discussing topics that have never been fully revealed. However, Malmgren alluded to receiving informal briefings about reverse engineering technology and non-terrestrial materials. It's difficult to imagine a more credible chain of custody for such information, from the AEC and DARPA to the CIA to the advisors of 4 US presidents. Meanwhile, the NRO, the agency Bissell helped found, has become increasingly implicated in the UFO discussion. Initially so secret that its existence wasn't acknowledged until the 1990s, the NRO has maintained a network of highly advanced satellites capable of capturing imagery of Earth from space. In recent years, documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act by researchers like John Greenwald revealed that these satellites have recorded what the agency called anomalous aerospace phenomena. A set of 2021 communications about the NRO's sentient program, which uses AI and multi-sensor data to predict and track targets, revealed that this system had been used to image a white cylindrical object, commonly described as a tic-tac UFO. One redacted email indicated the sentient system had recorded multiple images of this object, and required coordination with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the Pentagon's UAP task force. What's more, an internal NRO email stated that we need an external customer to ask for it to be turned on, implying the system can be deployed to search specifically for UFOs if requested by appropriate government authorities. Given that the NRO was once led by Bissell and maintains capabilities to track unidentified objects, the question must be asked, how long has this tracking been happening? Further complicating matters is the contradictory behavior of the NRO when it comes to Freedom of Information Act requests. In 2015, when John Greenwald asked for their UFO files, the agency replied that the topic was outside the scope of its responsibilities. Yet less than a decade later, internal emails show the NRO actively monitoring and discussing UAPs with other intelligence agencies. This suggests not just awareness, but active participation in the observation of unidentified craft. Returning to Malmgren's revelations, one is left with a powerful impression of a man burdened by secrets for decades, now determined to share his experiences before it was too late. His testimony not only fits within a broader narrative of high-level government knowledge about UAPs, but also connects the dots between organizations like DARPA, the CIA, and the NRO, agencies known for operating in the shadows of technological innovation and global surveillance. His interactions with figures like Lawrence Gies and Richard Bissell offer rare glimpses into the kind of compartmentalized knowledge that even top presidential advisors are sometimes denied. According to Malmgren, he and the president were often blocked from full access to UFO information by the Atomic Energy Commission under provisions of the Atomic Energy Act. This loophole continues to plague transparency efforts even today, as described in the 2023 UAP Disclosure Act, which quotes overbroad interpretations of classified foreign nuclear information as a reason why public and congressional access remains limited. In the end, Malmgren's story forces us to confront difficult questions about secrecy, national security, and the true nature of the phenomena we've labeled UFOs. His willingness to speak, even late in life, adds weight to a growing chorus of credible voices calling for transparency. As science catches up with what once seemed unbelievable, perhaps we are closer than ever to uncovering truths that have been hidden not just from the public, but from the highest levels of government itself. During the height of the Cold War, the nexus between UFO phenomena and nuclear weapons testing has long remained in the shadows of military secrecy and national security concerns. However, recent revelations from the late Dr. Harold Malmgren, a senior advisor to Presidents John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson, and a key figure involved in nuclear test oversight, have brought these connections into sharper focus. Months before his passing, Malmgren disclosed that during one of the 1962 nuclear tests under Operation Dominic, an unidentified flying object was allegedly shot down after flying too close to a high-altitude detonation. Malmgren's role placed him at the heart of Cold War defense strategy, particularly within the Defense Atomic Support Agency. He had both top-secret and Q-level clearance, giving him access to information related to nuclear weapons systems. According to Malmgren, following the detonation of the Bluegill Triple Prime test, he and both Presidents Kennedy and Johnson were urgently briefed on an anomalous incident involving an object, later referred to by insiders as a tag-along, that was caught in the nuclear fireball. The object's behavior and subsequent retrieval marked a turning point, ultimately resulting in Malmgren being invited into discussions surrounding what he termed the Legacy UFO Reverse Engineering Program. This allegation, while extraordinary, is not without a trail of supporting evidence. There are at least 3 distinct videos that have surfaced from separate recording aircraft used during the test, each capturing phenomena that resist conventional explanation. In one video from the Los Alamos National Laboratory, an object is clearly seen falling from the detonation site, surviving conditions that should have vaporized any known material. In a second video from a Lawrence Livermore aircraft, that same section of footage appears to be visually redacted, with a white triangle obscuring the area. The implication is that someone deemed the anomaly worthy of censorship. In the last few hours, the skies above Norwich, England, have become the stage for a series of mysterious events. Residents across the city and surrounding countryside have reported seeing multiple silent triangular drones gliding through the night sky, their lights flickering in synchronized patterns. Witnesses describe the objects as large, structured and completely noiseless, hovering for long periods before moving swiftly out of sight. A photograph posted to the Facebook group UFO Sightings UK ignited discussion. The image, taken by a woman named Mary while walking her dog near Norwich in England, captured what appeared to be a large object hovering motionless in the sky. The sky was painted in deep purples and golds as the sun dipped behind the clouds, and there, at the center of the frame, a luminous craft-like form with a row of brilliant lights could be seen suspended above the distant hills. The mysterious object appeared structured, metallic, and sharply defined against the fading daylight, a sight too clear to dismiss as a passing illusion. Mary reported that she had been walking along a quiet country lane when she noticed a bright blue-white light glimmering above the horizon. At first, she assumed it might have been an airplane or helicopter, but the light grew larger and steadier without any sound. When she stopped to focus her phone camera, she realized that the object had a distinct triangular shape with a glowing central point and several smaller lights along its underside. The photograph she captured that evening quickly spread across social media and drew intense attention from amateur researchers who had been tracking an ongoing series of mysterious aerial sightings in the region. Oddly enough, leading up to this incident, northern Norfolk and the skies above Norwich had been the focus of unusual drone reports. Residents described seeing large, silent aerial objects, often triangular or diamond-shaped, that lingered over fields and rural areas for extended periods. Some of these sightings had even caused temporary shutdowns at nearby airports after unidentified aerial vehicles were detected moving close to flight paths. Despite repeated attempts to identify their origin, no country or private organization came forward to claim responsibility for these drones. Their persistence, advanced capabilities, and strange behavior led many to wonder whether something far more sophisticated than standard technology was at play. Mary's photograph stood out not just because of its clarity, but also because of its timing. On the evening she captured the image, multiple witnesses across East Anglia reported seeing low-flying triangular formations moving silently across the sky. Several people said they saw fast-moving jets circling higher up, seemingly monitoring or attempting to intercept the unknown crafts below. Eyewitnesses described the silent triangular objects as enormous, smooth, and capable of sharp directional turns without noise or visible propulsion. In some reports, they were said to hover for hours before vanishing straight upward into the clouds. What added to the mystery was the behavior of these objects around sensitive locations. Over the course of the year, reports emerged of similar drones appearing near military bases and even in the vicinity of nuclear storage sites. These areas are usually heavily restricted, monitored by radar and security systems, yet the drones seemed capable of evading detection until they were visually observed. According to local researchers, some of the unidentified craft could remain airborne for several hours, far beyond the battery life of conventional drones, and they demonstrated precise coordination, sometimes moving in formation or shadowing commercial airplanes at close range. The United Kingdom's Civil Aviation Authority and Ministry of Defence has yet to comment on the issue. The silence from official channels only fueled speculation. Some observers believed that these were advanced surveillance vehicles operated by an undisclosed branch of the military. Others argued that their flight patterns, luminosity, and silence did not match any known human-made craft. Mary's photograph, with its detailed depiction of structured lighting and symmetry, seemed to support the idea that whatever was being seen in the skies over Norfolk was neither accidental nor random. The craft's lights appeared evenly spaced along its underside, forming a geometric pattern reminiscent of engineered precision. The central glow was particularly bright, almost like a concentrated energy source, while the surrounding lights emitted a cooler hue. The object itself appeared to have a metallic texture, reflecting the faint amber tones of the sunset. Many ruled out simple explanations such as lens flares, reflections, or photographic artifacts. The lighting in the image appeared consistent with an actual illuminated structure positioned within the sky. The denoised and enhanced versions of the photograph revealed even more striking features. The object's edges appeared sharp and angular, and there were faint gradients of blue light running along its surface, suggesting an active energy field or propulsion source. The clarity of the symmetry was what convinced many analysts that Mary had indeed captured something tangible and not an illusion. What intrigued researchers most was the connection between the Norwich incidents and other reports across the United Kingdom and continental Europe. Sightings of similar silent triangles had been logged near airbases in Scotland, as well as over parts of Belgium and northern France. In each case, the objects were described as large, slow-moving and luminous, with no visible wings, propellers or exhaust. Their ability to remain stable in strong winds and to move rapidly when pursued challenged existing aeronautical understanding. As of right now, the Copenhagen airport incident still remains a mystery. In the evening of the 22nd of September, the skies above northern Europe became the stage for one of the most unsettling and mysterious aerial incidents in recent memory. What began as isolated sightings of glowing green drones quickly escalated into the closure of two of the busiest airports in Scandinavia and stirred fears of deliberate attempts to disrupt critical infrastructure across the continent. The events that unfolded in Denmark, Norway, and surrounding regions left tens of thousands of travelers stranded, governments on high alert, and ordinary citizens wondering if Europe had entered a new chapter of aerial vulnerability. The first significant disruption was reported over Copenhagen, Denmark's capital city. On Monday evening, witnesses began reporting strange green lights in the sky near Copenhagen airport. These lights were described as large, glowing drones, far brighter and more visible than any recreational drone. Some observers claimed the objects hovered in the sky for over half an hour, while others stated they remained in the air for over an hour, showing no sign of conventional flight behavior. Their unusual endurance and persistent hovering left many convinced that these were not ordinary civilian drones. Air traffic authorities took no chances. Sightings of 2 to 3 of these large, glowing drones in the airspace near Copenhagen airport prompted officials to ground all takeoffs and landings. For nearly 4 hours, one of Europe's most vital air hubs was shut down. The closure left tens of thousands of passengers stranded, flights diverted or delayed, and cascading disruptions rippling throughout Europe's air network. Almost simultaneously, a similar incident unfolded in Norway. Oslo Airport was forced to close its airspace for 3 hours after an unidentified drone was spotted overhead. The similarities between the two incidents, the timing, the glowing green appearance of the drones, and the immediate danger posed to air safety, raised alarm bells across the region. For the first time in recent history, both Denmark and Norway had their busiest airports brought to a standstill on the same evening by mysterious objects in the sky. For many, the incidents blurred the line between drones and UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. The glowing green color, the long hovering times, and the coordinated appearances over multiple capitals suggested something far stranger than ordinary drones. While officials used the word drone, ordinary people watching the skies could not help but feel that something more mysterious was unfolding. In the days that followed, European governments ramped up discussions about how to defend critical infrastructure against drone incursions. Anti-drone technologies, including radar systems, jammers, and even trained birds of prey, were mentioned as possible tools. Yet, the sheer scale of the incidents raised doubts about whether such measures would be enough. If drones could appear in the skies above multiple capitals simultaneously, glowing brightly enough to be seen across cities and hovering for hours, then the threat seemed far beyond the capabilities of amateur operators. The broader context of escalating geopolitical tensions only amplified these fears. With Europe already on edge due to conflicts, cyber attacks, and energy crises, the sudden swarms of glowing drones felt like yet another front in an expanding campaign of disruption. Prime Minister Fredriksson's warning that the events fit into a pattern of drone attacks, airspace violations, and cyber disruptions reflected the unease coursing through European governments. For the public, however, the fascination with the glowing green drones has persisted. Photographs and videos captured the eerie lights hanging over Copenhagen and Oslo, spreading quickly online. The images showed luminous orbs against the night sky, sometimes accompanied by smaller lights, adding to the sense of mystery. Residents described them as too large, too steady, and too enduring to be ordinary drones. The events of the 17th and 18th of September 2025 may one day be remembered as a turning point. For the first time, two of Scandinavia's busiest airports were shut down by unknown aerial vehicles. Tens of thousands of travelers experienced firsthand the fragility of modern aviation in the face of new aerial threats. Governments acknowledged the seriousness of the incursions while leaving open the possibility that powerful state actors or unknown entities were involved. The glowing green drones over Europe remain unexplained. Whether advanced drones, experimental technology, or something stranger, their presence has already changed the way people think about the safety of the skies. The closures of Copenhagen and Oslo airports marked not just a temporary disruption, but a chilling reminder that in a world of rapidly advancing technology and growing tensions, even the most secure airspaces can no longer be taken for granted. As of now, Samantha's case continues to resonate across Europe as a symbol of mystery, vulnerability, and the unknown. Families, travelers, and officials alike are left with the same unsettling truth. Something powerful and unexplained was in the skies that night, and the answers remain just beyond reach. Yesterday, on the 14th of September, social media across China and beyond was set ablaze with extraordinary footage from Shandong province. The videos, filmed by ordinary residents in cities such as Weifang and Rizhao, appeared to capture a dramatic interception in the night sky. A bright aerial event unfolded overhead, leaving witnesses stunned. What looked to some like a missile test quickly spiraled into one of the most talked-about mysteries of the year, as countless others swore they had seen a UFO brought down by Chinese air defense systems. The events seemed to begin 2 days earlier, on the 12th of September, when a fireball-like object was reported by locals across eastern China. This luminous anomaly moved with incredible speed, and then, without warning, erupted in a burst of light that illuminated the night sky. Those in the area spoke of hearing 2 loud bangs that rattled windows and caused a momentary tremor underfoot. The flashes and the booming sounds carried the hallmarks of a high-speed aerial collision, yet no official word explained what the object was or why it had appeared. By the 13th of September, the Emergency Management Bureau released a short statement claiming they had no information about an interception, impact, or any other event in the skies. That silence only amplified speculation, particularly as more videos circulated online showing what appeared to be a missile locking onto and striking an object mid-air. These recordings, often grainy and shot from phones, nonetheless revealed a blinding flash followed by fragments of glowing debris streaking toward the ground. To many, this was no ordinary test. By the 14th of September, the Taiwanese-origin Chinese-language newspaper World Journal had taken notice, publishing accounts from Shandong residents who were adamant about what they had witnessed. According to them, the skies held more than just a test missile. Some swore the target was an unidentified flying object, a craft that behaved unlike any known plane, drone, or satellite. The sudden interception, they said, was not coincidental. Rather, it was a deliberate attempt to neutralize something that had entered Chinese airspace uninvited. Reports from eyewitnesses described the object as luminous, moving with precision, and seemingly unaffected by normal flight dynamics. One man from Rizhao noted how the craft appeared to hover and shift before a missile streaked toward it, resulting in the massive flash that lit up the night. Others described the experience as surreal, as though the sky had split open for a brief instant, leaving behind the echo of a hidden conflict. Not all were convinced that the incident was extraterrestrial. Many online analysts leaned toward a more conventional explanation, an advanced anti-missile test. The theory went that the initial glowing object was a simulated target, perhaps designed to mimic the trajectory of a hostile missile. The second streak of light, they argued, was the interceptor, which successfully struck its mark in what appeared to be a textbook example of terminal interception technology. If true, it meant that China had demonstrated remarkable progress in missile defense, showing the ability to take down high-speed aerial targets with precision. Some commentators even suggested that the test was intentionally conducted in an area where civilians might see it, to show both domestic audiences and foreign observers that the nation's defensive systems were reaching new levels of sophistication. Such an event would not only boost morale, but also serve as a quiet yet visible demonstration of power to the world. The noises, flashes, and fragments in this view were not the remains of an alien craft, but the visible evidence of cutting-edge technology at work. Yet the lack of official acknowledgement left room for the other, more mysterious theory to grow. Many people could not dismiss the eyewitness claims that the craft before interception was unlike anything terrestrial. The description of its glow, its movements, and the strange tremor that accompanied its destruction aligned with decades of stories about unidentified flying objects across the world. For these observers, the Shandong incident was nothing less than proof that a UFO had been intercepted and neutralized. Adding fuel to these beliefs were online whispers that insiders within China had hinted at something unusual. Some anonymous voices claimed that after the event, military convoys were seen moving quickly into the region, perhaps to recover debris from the impact site. Others said that villages nearby were briefly restricted, with residents asked to stay indoors as unusual activity unfolded through the night. Whether true or not, such stories only magnified the sense of mystery. Those leaning toward the UFO explanation also pointed out that missile intercept tests are usually announced, or at least quietly acknowledged, within military circles. The refusal of the Emergency Management Bureau to confirm even the most basic details about the event made skeptics suspicious. Why deny what appeared to be plain as day in the videos unless something more controversial had truly occurred? Meanwhile, those confident in the missile test explanation countered that secrecy is typical for such exercises. They noted that advanced anti-missile systems are highly classified, and the government would have little incentive to provide open commentary on tests that might reveal strategic capabilities to rivals. The ambiguity, in this sense, was intentional. Regardless of which theory one adopts, the fact remains that hundreds of thousands of people have now seen the footage, debated it, and drawn their own conclusions. Social media has kept the story alive, with hashtags related to the Shandong event trending for days. For many, it is already being compared to other famous UFO incidents around the world, though with the added intrigue of possible military involvement. The videos have also reignited global interest in the question of what is happening in the skies above us. If it was a missile intercept, it demonstrates the remarkable level of technological advancement now being achieved in air defense. If it was something more, something unexplained, then it may represent one of the most significant encounters of modern times. The truth may never be fully revealed, but the night of the 12th of September in 2025 will be remembered as the moment the skies of Shandong province became the stage for a mystery that captivated the world. In the absence of an official explanation, the incident remains an open puzzle. Whether extraterrestrial, technological, or both, it has shown once again how quickly events in the night sky can unsettle our understanding of reality. For the people of Shandong who watched in awe as the bright flash lit up the horizon, the experience was unforgettable. For the world, the footage stands as both evidence and mystery, a reminder that mysteries still unfold above us, waiting to be explained. A startling whistleblower revelation has emerged, disclosing the Pentagon's clandestine UFO data recovery initiative, Immaculate Constellation, operational since 2017. This initiative was previously beyond congressional oversight, and with the revelation of the whistleblower report, its secrecy has now been disclosed. The whistleblower asserts that the primary objective of the Immaculate Constellation program is to identify and extract the most compelling UFO pictures, films, eyewitness accounts, and electronic sensor data held by the military. The high-quality multi-sensor UFO data are so rigorously regulated that mentioning them may pose a personal risk. The initiative came about as a top-secret operation following the 2017 leak of 3 infrared UFO films from the US Navy. Recently, a photograph of a ball-shaped UFO adorned with small spikes surfaced on a popular Chinese website. This image, quickly hailed as one of the clearest and most intriguing UFO captures to date, has generated significant interest and debate online. Unlike the grainy or poorly defined UFO images that often dominate discussions, this particular image stands out for its clarity, detail, and the unusual design of the object itself. For many, it represents a breakthrough in the ongoing search for visual evidence of unidentified flying objects. The image in question first appeared on a Chinese website, quickly spreading to other platforms and gaining international attention. In the photo, a spherical object with small, evenly spaced spikes can be seen hovering in the sky. The UFO appears to be metallic or reflective, with the sunlight glinting off its surface, giving it a shiny, almost polished appearance. The small spikes protruding from its surface add to the mystery, as they do not resemble any known human-made aircraft or technology. The object itself is seen at a relatively low altitude, providing an unusually detailed view of its structure, unlike many distant or blurry UFO sightings. The clarity of the image is what has made it stand out from the typical UFO pictures that circulate online. Many UFO images are vague or taken from great distances, leaving room for misinterpretation or the possibility that the objects are natural phenomena, such as birds, balloons, or drones. However, the detail in this photo, particularly the distinct spiked design, has led many to argue that it is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence in favor of the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena. The public reaction to the image has been swift and widespread. Social media platforms in China, as well as Twitter and Reddit internationally, have seen countless discussions and theories about the origins and nature of the object. Believers in UFOs have been quick to embrace the image as one of the most convincing visual pieces of evidence to date, with many suggesting that the design of the object is too unique and advanced to be of human origin. The clarity of the ball-shaped UFO image represents a significant moment in the world of UFO research and investigation. For years, one of the primary criticisms levied against UFO sightings has been the lack of high-quality visual evidence. Blurry or ambiguous images have been dismissed as inconclusive, and the lack of clear, detailed photographs has made it difficult for UFO enthusiasts to convince the broader public or scientific community of the legitimacy of their claims. This new image, however, challenges that narrative. With its sharp details and distinct features, the photo offers a much stronger foundation for serious analysis and investigation. The clear depiction of the object has piqued the interest of UFO researchers around the world, many of whom are calling for further examination of the photograph to rule out possible explanations or to corroborate its authenticity. If the image holds up under scrutiny, it could represent a turning point in the conversation about UFOs, pushing the phenomenon further into the realm of legitimate scientific inquiry. For decades, military personnel who claim to have encountered UFOs often faced skepticism, ridicule, or outright dismissal. Reports of strange, fast-moving objects seen on radar or witnessed by pilots during training exercises were frequently written off as atmospheric anomalies, equipment malfunctions, or optical illusions. However, in recent years, more and more military personnel have chosen to come forward, sharing detailed accounts of encounters with unknown flying objects that defy conventional explanation. One of the most notable whistleblowers is former US Navy pilot commander David Fravor, who publicly discussed a 2004 encounter with a UFO off the coast of San Diego. During a routine training exercise, Fravor and his squadron were dispatched to investigate radar anomalies picked up by the USS Princeton. Upon arrival at the scene, Fravor and his fellow pilots observed a white, tic-tac-shaped object moving erratically at incredible speeds. The object had no visible wings, propulsion system, or markings, yet it outmaneuvered their jets with ease. Fravor's account, which was later corroborated by radar data and additional witnesses, was one of the first instances where a military UFO encounter was publicly acknowledged by the US government. Fravor's testimony, along with those of other whistleblowers, has laid the groundwork for a broader conversation about UFOs within the military and intelligence communities. These individuals are no longer treated as fringe figures or conspiracy theorists. Instead, their experiences are being taken seriously as part of an emerging body of evidence that UFOs represent a real and potentially significant phenomenon. For much of the 20th century, the US government's official stance on UFOs was one of denial or downplaying. Since then, the Department of Defense has established a formal UAP task force to investigate and analyze UFO sightings reported by military personnel. In 2020, the Pentagon officially declassified several videos of UFO encounters, acknowledging that the objects captured on film remain unidentified. This newfound transparency and seriousness in addressing UFO sightings marks a significant departure from the government's historical approach to the subject. The government is no longer dismissing UFOs as a fringe topic, but instead recognizing them as a phenomenon that could have important implications for national security and aviation safety. There are several reasons why the US government has begun to take UFO whistleblowers more seriously. First and foremost is the growing body of credible evidence from military sources. Pilots, radar operators, and intelligence personnel have provided detailed accounts of encounters with objects that exhibit capabilities far beyond anything currently known to exist. These objects are often described as having extraordinary speed, maneuverability, and the ability to perform aerial feats that defy the laws of physics as we understand them. Additionally, UFO encounters have occurred near sensitive military installations, including nuclear facilities, which raises concerns about potential espionage or surveillance by foreign adversaries. While there is no evidence to suggest that UFOs are the work of another nation, the possibility that advanced technology could be used to spy on the US has prompted military officials to treat these sightings with greater urgency. Another key factor is the safety risk that UAPs pose to military pilots. In numerous instances, UFOs have been reported in close proximity to military aircraft, sometimes resulting in near misses. Given the potential danger to flight operations, the government has recognized the need to investigate these phenomena to ensure the safety of both military and civilian aviation. Finally, the cultural stigma surrounding UFOs has begun to fade. For decades, those who reported UFO sightings risked being labeled as delusional or untrustworthy. However, as more military personnel and credible witnesses come forward, in numerous instances, UFOs have been reported in close proximity to military aircraft, sometimes resulting in near misses. Given the potential danger to flight operations, the government has recognized the need to investigate these phenomena to ensure the safety of both military and civilian aviation. Finally, the cultural stigma surrounding UFOs has begun to fade. For decades, those who reported UFO sightings risked being labeled as delusional or untrustworthy. However, as more military personnel and credible witnesses come forward, this stigma is being replaced by a more open and scientific approach to the subject. This shift in perception has allowed whistleblowers to share their stories without fear of ridicule, leading to a greater willingness within the government to investigate and take these reports seriously. As the US government continues to investigate UAPs, many hope that these efforts will lead to a greater understanding of what these objects are and where they come from. Some speculate that UAPs could represent advanced technology developed by foreign adversaries, while others believe they may be evidence of extraterrestrial life. Regardless of the origin of these objects, there is now a clear consensus that they warrant further study. Whistleblowers have played a crucial role in bringing the issue of UFOs to the forefront of public and governmental attention. Without their courage in coming forward, many of these encounters might still be shrouded in secrecy, and the government might still be ignoring the potential implications of these sightings. In the coming years, it is likely that we will see more whistleblowers step forward, and with the government's new approach to transparency, we may finally begin to unravel the mysteries of UFOs. In recent years, the quality of UFO images has significantly improved, with clearer and more detailed sightings emerging from both civilian and military sources. This marks a noticeable shift from the traditionally blurry, vague, or otherwise ambiguous photos and videos that have long characterized UFO encounters. The most straightforward explanation for the improvement in UFO imagery is the rapid advancement of camera technology. In the past, UFO sightings were often captured using outdated or low-quality equipment, such as analog cameras, older camcorders, or early-generation mobile phone cameras. These devices were not capable of capturing sharp images, especially of fast-moving objects or at long distances. Grainy images, blurry smudges, and out-of-focus lights became synonymous with UFO sightings, leading to skepticism about their authenticity. However, with the rise of smartphones equipped with high-definition cameras and advanced imaging technologies, the general population now has access to tools that can capture detailed, high-resolution images and videos. Even budget smartphones today come with cameras that rival professional-grade equipment from just a decade ago. Features such as optical zoom, stabilization, and improved low-light capabilities enable users to capture clearer images of objects in the sky, even from great distances. Drones, another relatively new technology, also play a role in clearer UFO imagery. These devices are equipped with advanced cameras that can fly to high altitudes, capturing wide-angle views and precise footage of the sky. In recent years, both hobbyists and professionals have used drones to investigate UFO sightings or to record the night sky, leading to sharper and more reliable footage. Another reason for the increase in clear UFO images is the widespread adoption of video and image sharing platforms. Sites like YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit, among others, provide people with instant access to a global audience. When a UFO sighting occurs, eyewitnesses can quickly upload and share their footage with millions of viewers. This immediacy allows for faster distribution of potentially valuable evidence, encouraging more individuals to record and share their experiences. In earlier decades, sharing UFO footage was a much slower process, often involving the media or specialized UFO organizations as intermediaries. This delay limited public access to real-time or near-real-time evidence, and many images would be subject to scrutiny before they could reach a broader audience. Today, with platforms that allow anyone to instantly upload footage, UFO sightings are more visible, and more people are contributing to the ongoing investigation by capturing clearer images. These platforms also allow UFO researchers, hobbyists, and enthusiasts to pool resources and exchange ideas. Through these networks, users can share tips on how to improve their UFO photography or analyze sightings. In addition to technological advancements and the rise of social media, greater transparency from governments has contributed to clearer UFO images. Historically, the US government and other authorities were dismissive of UFO sightings, often labeling them as hoaxes, misidentified aircraft, or weather phenomena. This stance left little room for serious inquiry, and any images that emerged were often disregarded by official channels, leaving researchers to rely on speculation rather than credible evidence. The social and cultural environment surrounding UFOs has also evolved. In the past, reporting a UFO sighting or sharing a photo might have attracted ridicule or disbelief. The stigma associated with UFO encounters led many people to remain silent about their experiences, especially if the photographic evidence was unclear or easily debunked. As a result, potential witnesses were discouraged from coming forward, even if they had credible accounts or evidence. However, as UFOs become a topic of mainstream discussion and scientific inquiry, the public has grown more comfortable with the idea of sharing their own experiences.